year was 1994. We made it into Las Cruces, New Mexico on Christmas Eve. We had at this time been on the road for about 2.5 years. It was cold, and we were wore out and road weary. Life had been especially hard for us at this time, making and selling dreamcatchers to truck drivers. Well, that was not exactly the easiest way to make a living. I knew this was going to be a long night. We were completely broke, and when I say broke, I mean we didn't even have 2 pennies to rub together. First of all, I want to paint you a picture of the van we lived in. It was a Ford E250 with expired tags and no insurance. I had a suspended license. For not having insurance, a catch-22. Being a painter by trade, I had painted the exterior of the van with a brush and roller, with a white industrial latex enamel. I then took a feather duster and some dark blue paint, and did a stipple on the lower half of the body. With a light blue spray paint, I did some outline shading around the body and doors. It looked cool, but still, it was a junky van with a homemade paint job. But it did have new tires and shiny chrome rims. The van had sliding tinted windows in the rear, but they had gotten broken out, so I replaced them with cardboard. I cut the cardboard to fit, then spray painted them black. Then using a squeegee, I covered them with a clear acrylic caulking. From a distance, they still looked like tinted windows. So now you got an idea of what our van was like and how we were living. Although it was very rough, we had the inside fixed up real cozy. Okay, so here we are in the parking lot of a TA truck stop in the city of Crosses, Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's Christmas Eve and it's cold. There was a little snow falling. I'm having a tough time making money. I like to say that on that day, I couldn't sell dollar bills for a nickel. Yeah, it was bad. I had been on the CB radio all day, advertising our dreamcatchers, and not even getting a nibble. The day wore on and became evening. My wife, Deanna, had kept our 2 kids busy trying to give me room to work the crowd and make some money. As the evening wore on, we were all exhausted. Deanna had the kids ready for bed, and we were just sitting there, each lost in our own thoughts. My thoughts were of my father. Man, talking about an apple not falling far from the tree. How he had done this with 5 kids. Damn, I just didn't know. My thoughts were interrupted when Paris, our 3-year-old son, asked me, "Dad, how is Santa Claus going to find us in this parking lot?" Man, I'm not kidding. The look on his face when he asked that question, well, tears almost welled up in my eyes. I had been on the radio all day, beating the bushes. I was so stressed out, I just looked at him for a moment, and not want to disappoint him, I lied. I told him, "You know how Santa and his reindeer travel the world delivering toys?" Paris nodded his little head yes, his eyes wide and full of hope. Well, I told him that is really not possible, and that in fact truck drivers were really Santa's secret helpers. The look in his eyes told me that since he saw trucks and drivers every day, everywhere, that in fact this must be true. Hell, I almost started to believe it myself. It made more sense than one guy in his red suit and 12 reindeer delivering gifts to every child in the world. In fact, truck drivers reach every nook and cranny on the planet. I reached for my CB radio microphone and told the drivers that I had to tell my son the truth about Santa's helpers, and that he did not have to worry about Santa not finding him. Because in fact, Santa's helpers were really truck drivers and were all around him. Man, these drivers were great. One by one, they came on the radio and told him that yes, that they were part of Santa's team, and assured him that he was on the list and that Santa knew where he was and not to worry. Well, that was a magical night for him, and finally, he fell asleep next to his sister. Deanna and I just sat there, looking at each other. There was nothing to say. I felt the weight of the world that night bearing down on me, much like my father must have felt on all those countless nights in countless different parking lots, under the same burdens. I continued to work the radio till after midnight. Still nothing. So I finally offered one of our beautiful dream catchers for a donation. "Take your pick," I told the drivers, "and get what you can." Finally, a driver responded and made his way over to look at our work. He chose one, and a little embarrassed, he offered all he had to give, $14. I accepted his money and told him that he was making a magic memory for my family and was making me a hero. By this time, everyone was asleep, so no one knew I had made any money. I went into the truck stop and, well, it's a truck stop. It's not Walmart or Toys R Us. So the selection, well, there was no selection really. So I got what they had. For my son, I got 3 Matchbox cars, and Mariah got a pair of socks, white with lacy pink tops, and a little girl's diary. I found a nice big coffee mug with retro coffee graphics on it for Deanna. The little gal who worked it was great. She wrapped each gift individually with pretty Christmas paper and put ribbons and bows and name tags on all. I had found some of that cottony white batting that goes under Christmas trees and covered the dash with it and placed the presents on top. The pretty Christmas paper and red and green bows really stood out against the snowy white cotton and the frosted windows of the van. Some of Jack Frost's best work, I have no doubt. It looked really cool and very much like Christmas. I had only a few hours sleep when we were awakened by our son, shaking us and in a high, excited voice yelling that Santa had found us. And look on the dash, he exclaimed. I watched him as he rushed to the gifts, excitedly asking which was his and feigning ignorance. I told him to hang on and let's see. And as he handed me each gift, I read the name and passed him out. He took his first present and tore it open. For a moment, my heart stopped and I unconsciously held my breath. Then he just started screaming with happiness about getting the little car. I exhaled and Deanna and I looked at each other. We both felt and thought the same thing. We wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. I guess because to see him so happy with such a small gift, his not knowing or wanting more almost brought a tear. It was truly magic and truly it was the spirit of Christmas. He eventually tore open the other 2 presents and his reaction was just like it was the first present. And each time we just looked at each other and shook our heads. We couldn't help it. It was a powerful moment. He played with those cars all day until nightfall and eventually fell asleep with one of the cars in his hand and a smile on his face. Mariah, our 7-year-old, spent the day wearing her new socks and writing in her new diary, and Deanna enjoyed a morning coffee. There was no big dinner, no tree, or any of the traditional trappings of a Christmas day, but I did make some money that day and we ate. I do not remember what, but we all went to bed that night, happy and satisfied without want for more or desire for better. And that is what Christmas and giving and receiving should feel and be like. As for me, well, I truly got the best gift of all. I was a hero for a day. Written by Carl Wiggins.
They got bragging about their freedom, but they beg for scraps and stay. Say they're strong and independent while they're living on the state. But our founders weren't dependent, no, they carved their destiny. Took the land and built a nation where a man could live free. And though the world's seen times like these, the truth blows in the breeze. Patriots stand up with ease while the cowards choose to flee. Call me what you will today, but I won't be led astray. I will fight the honest way. Free men don't bend the knee.